Hi, it's Dr. Bob. I'm here in St. George, Utah, and this formation behind me may not initially look as strange as it really is for the non-biblical geologists in the world because it exhibits a very strange behavior. You see these sandstone layers, the red sandstone, which this area is known for. In fact, this area that we're in now is called the Red Cliffs area of St. George. But the red sandstone that's here, on top of it is this basalt. Now, that's a problem because the basalt is expected to have come from volcanic activity, and it should be in the low parts, not in the high parts. Okay, if the traditional time scales are correct, then there's a problem. But for us, it's not a problem because what we know is that these sandstone layers were laid down in the events of the flood. So the sediment then is laid down, and as part of that whole flood event was the fountains of the Great Deep opening up. So there would have been increased volcanic activity as this molten material, in addition to the waters, begins to, in some locations, begins to spray out from the earth. And so this basalt that's on the top was then deposited after these lower sediment layers were deposited during the flood event. This is called inverted topology, and as I say, for many non-biblical geologists, it creates a real problem. But for those of us who trust in the biblical account, it's just one more example of the fact that it's okay to believe. Now, we also see in these rocks incredible stratification, where we see light and dark layers laid down. And what that is typically expected by non-biblical geologists to be subsequent flood events. The problem is, each of those represent what geologists call an unconformity. Now, we've talked about in other discussions the Great Unconformity, which we see at the Precambrian rock, the Foundation Rock in the Grand Canyon and elsewhere. But here, what we see are unconformities after unconformities after unconformities. Now, they are considered unconformities in geological terms because they exhibit no erosion between the layers. And because of the type of sediments that are laid here and the rapid flow of the flood waters that were present in this area during the flood, we have this stratification and even lamination of those layers. Okay, geological terms, it's called lamination. And we see sorting, where we have heavier and soft, large and small particles separated out. Prior to Mount St. Helens, that was expected to have been subsequent flood events, and we weren't really sure how it worked. But what we saw in these high flood or high flow events is that the sediments will actually self-sort. And so we get this lamination and we get this sorting that occurs without even having to have subsequent events. So it isn't, in biblical geological terms, it's not an unconformity. It's another testimony that it's okay to believe and that the biblical account describes an actual event that occurred in the time of Noah. So one more example, as we look at the geology all around us, that Christ, as the Creator, was aware of these great features that would be exhibited for us, and he allows us to look at them and see once again a testimony of the truthfulness of His Word and His role as Creator and His role in the Great Flood as He cleansed the earth in the time of Noah. So once again, this is Dr. Bob. I'm here in St. George, Utah, and it's okay to believe.